Thanks for having us on, and buzzing about obviously the game tomorrow, which we'll obviously talk about. Yeah, it was great to get the win the other night.
Absolutely. And if anybody that's watching that hasn't already done so, please make sure you subscribe to their respective YouTube channels. James, I'll let you go first. Would you like to give your YouTube channel a quick plug?
Yeah, so everything on social media, on Instagram and Twitter is From the Anvil. So that is From the Anvil, WHU, Whiskey Hotel Uniform at the end. And the channel's obviously From the Anvil, West Ham United.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that, James. Bill, same to you.
Yeah, so I do like watch-alongs, match day vlogs. So I vlogged the game the other night, for example. Other football content. So check us out on social media, Facebook and Twitter as well. So check us out and feel free to subscribe if you enjoy.
Brilliant. Always like to try and give people that contribute to the channel and take time out of their day a little opportunity to give their channels a little bit of a plug. So on to the main event, gentlemen. We are here to discuss the match tomorrow at London Stadium, 2:00 kickoff. West Ham United against Premier League new boys Brentford. Now, they've obviously been promoted to the top flight for the first time in 60 years, I think it is. 1947, I think it was, Duke.
That's way over 60.
Yeah, it's a long, long time. I wasn't born then, before anybody says anything. But yeah, I mean, it really is a fairy tale story. I mean, when you sort of like, if you know the history of the club and you know that some of the depths that they've actually been to in their history, and for them to be playing Premier League football and rubbing shoulders with the elite, and in their first game, they get a game against, one of the perceived big six clubs. I mean, in Arsenal Football Club, and they turned them over. I mean, they must be on absolute cloud nine. Duke, I'll start with you. What's been your early impressions of Brentford in the Premier League?
Listen, they're not even just in the Premier League, mate, but in general. I've got a lot of time for Brentford, how the club has developed, how the club is run. There are, as I mentioned before, there are no entitlement from their fans that they deserve to be in the Premier League. There's none of that. The club. Their transfer policy, their scouting network, everything that goes on behind the scenes with that club is absolutely amazing. And to be fair, really does show us up. And really, from the training ground, to their like I say, their transfer policy, their scouting network. It really puts us to shame in points. I've got a lot of time for Brentford. I think they've been absolutely outstanding this season at points. We did a little video just before this that's going to go out at some point where we spoke to a Brentford fan, and as I said to him, the game last week against Liverpool, the amount of neutrals that were in my pub watching the game, alongside myself, that were cheering on Brentford. I know you've got that kind of plucky underdog vibe with regards to they're playing Liverpool. These guys won the Premier League recently. They won the Champions League as well. So and my God, did they put up a bloody good game? I thought they were brilliant. So I've got a lot of time for them, and I'm really pleased to see them. Doing well enough. There were teams that have come up out of the Championship that have struggled, really, really struggled. For the likes of, I think, Derby that have hit the worst points total, and Sunderland have been there, goals conceded, all the rest of it. So they're doing all right, and I'm actually quietly confident that they will continue to do so for the rest of the season. And I think as they progress, they're going to be harder and harder for guys to turn over. I really do.
Yeah, same to you, Bill. What's been your early impressions of Brentford Football Club?
Yeah, completely echo what Duke has said. They're a really well-run club. Fans are really behind them. I really like the use of the Moneyball style of system, the transfers, with buying decent players, but no superstars, and there is no superstars in their team. They work hard, but they're played to a real good philosophy under Thomas Frank, who's turned themselves to a really good manager. And yeah, the thing is about some promoted clubs, they might score goals, but they're really open at the back. It looks like Norwich. Every time Norwich get promoted, they're going to concede 60 plus a season, and it'll probably happen again this season.
Yeah,
Brentford have only conceded 5 goals. And
3 clean sheets, as it
3
says
clean
on that.
sheets. So
yeah,
they've scored a decent amount, obviously with Ivan Toney, etc., which we could touch on. But they're tight at the back as well. They've a couple of big signings have really settled in well. So and this will be a much harder game than Rapid Vienna on Thursday. Obviously, it's chalk and cheese between pedigree and European pedigree and stuff. But the way Brentford are playing, they're going to be a much bigger test than Thursday night, without a doubt.
Yeah, I agree with that. James, same question to you. Your early impressions of Brentford, 7 games in or 6 games in?
The club is very respectable. I mean, everything that they do from top to bottom is run really well. I mean, the scouting system is very unique in a way because they want to find and recruit the best players for the club. They don't want to be flashy. They always interview players beforehand to see if they're the right fit for the club and then get them in with decent money. Their selling and purchasing power are good things as well. They know how to sell players decently. I mean, they developed players like Mopai, Benrahma, Watkins, Konza, and then sold them off for higher fees and then used that money to get in, not necessarily cheap and cheerful options, but players who they knew would improve the club for that money. Players like Johan Wisser, Christopher Ayer, who's cost 13 million, the latter. They've got a good system from back to front. I mean, they've got a quality goalkeeper in David Raya. They've got a good defensive unit. They've got a good attacking unit. There's a lot of interdependency within their team, I think, as well. That everyone works off of each other. The fans can really get behind the project that's going on right now. And they've come a long way from 5 years ago, from playing in League One to now playing Premier League football. And it's cliche we say that stuff dreams are made of, but it's something they realistically wanted to do, and they've made it happen. And that's fair enough to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm just going to put this up on screen for the ladies and gentlemen at home to watch. Here we go. I've done my usual. I'll just go full screen with this real quick and get rid of that banner. So this is what I rather suspect, gentlemen, will be taking to the pitch. And obviously you can all sort of jump in and sort of let me know what your thoughts are. But I rather suspect it's going to be Fabianski coming back in for Areola. I don't think Areola did anything wrong, but to be honest, Areola didn't have anything to do against Rapid Vienna. They were literally no threat whatsoever. Back 4, I think Cresswell comes back in left back. Vladimir Tufal is coming in at right back. Although, having said that, there is a report that says that he is a doubt. He's got a little bit of a calf niggle, so it's not. He's sort of like a bit of a doubt. Ryan Fredericks is pretty much guaranteed to be still out with his groin injury. But I think that Tufal will make the start. Then at the centre-back positions, Ogbonna and Zuma, I believe, will be the combination that's used. Although I think, in my opinion, I think when he's been called upon, I think Issa Diop has looked absolutely brilliant, to be fair. He looks like the player that we had in that first season, but have not seen that often since. Anchoring the midfield, Declan Rice gets the captain's armband because Mark Noble's popped back onto the bench. Thomas Souček comes in alongside him. And then the midfield offensive 3, Benrahma against his old team on the left, Bowen on the right, Pablo Fornals in the 10 position. But whether it's going to be Benrahma in the 10 or Fornals on the left, it's whatever. They're going to be there or thereabouts. And then Michael Antonio up top. If I give it to James, first of all, to get stuck into that one, do you see any deviation from that or any surprises, you think?
I have my own personal deviation from that.
Go for it.
Souček to be dropped because he hasn't been good enough. I mean, he got dropped against the Europa League, and I don't think Souček's done enough in the last few Premier League games. I think he's been a bit, I'm going to say it, non-existent. He hasn't been pulling his weight enough, and Alex Kral would be a solider option because Kral's a solid defensive mid. And, we could do with a player like that against a very free-flowing and high-octane Brentford attack. We need to have an extra body that can be put on the line to naturally defend, and that's what Kral would do. But other than that, I agree with pretty much everything in the lineup.
Do you think that possibly Thomas Souček has kind of been, I don't know whether the hamstrung is the right word, but, because Declan Rice now seems to have evolved his game and he seems to be making more forays, sort of like further forwards. Do you think that maybe that's put a little bit of the handbrake on Thomas Souček getting forward himself?
I mean,
I'd say so. I'd say so, without a doubt.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Bill, your thoughts on that 11?
Yeah, spot on, mate. I think the only issues, as you say, with Soufal might be injured, but I thought Johnson. I was there Thursday with you Gatesy, and I thought he was very good.
Quality.
Johnson playing in his actual natural position for the first time, I think. At right back, obviously played on the left. It filled in a lot, but I thought he was very good. And I think Souček will come back, and he was rested along with the other players. But Fornals was rested, Benrahma was rested. Obviously, he come on, but and obviously Zuma and Ogbonna were rested as well. So back to our normal 11.
Yeah, absolutely. Duke, any adjustments you think David Moyes? Any curveballs you think David Moyes might pull, or do you think that's pretty much there or thereabouts? You're on mute.
He's on mute.
You're on.
Yes, I am.
There you go.
No, what I was just saying was, I'm inclined to go what you've got there, but I'm also in agreement with James with regards to Souček and Král. Král certainly didn't look out of place against United when he played in the cup. I thought he put in a bloody good shift. So I wouldn't be surprised. I also do agree with you, Rob, about I do think that Declan Rice has been given a bit more freedom this year to go forward, and because the band that he wears around his arm that says captain on it, I think it gives him a little bit more of that authoritative voice that Souček does stay put. I'd like to see them kind of alternate during the game, and just to see if you could actually get him going up and down a little bit more. Because I'd like to think that Souček still has those goals in those late runs that we saw quite often last season. I do think you did touch on it earlier, so I'm not digging it. Fornals and Benrahma will swap. I think Benrahma will take the middle, the 10 position. Fornals does play that role of being out wide on the left to act as the bodyguard for Cresswell, as again I've mentioned many times over the course of these videos that we've done. Other than that, Bowen needs a goal. Bowen needs a goal. That's all he needs. The boy's doing everything else right. He's honestly, I'm knackered just watching the guy. He doesn't stop. He is so full of energy. He's up and down, up and down, up and down. I don't know where he's found it from. But he doesn't he doesn't look happy when he doesn't start. He looks pissed off, which is what I want to see. I want to see players that are not happy that they're not in that first 11. When he comes on, he's up and down, up and down, up and down. So, just a goal. I want to see the kid get a goal because I think that will really kickstart, very much like Benrahma and what we're seeing from him. Jarrod Bowen, one goal will make a massive difference. But that lineup for me, that can pick us up a win. Let's be honest. Look at the big man up front. He's, I still stand by my fact that I think he's going to get more than 20 goals this season in all competitions, and I think he may well hit that 20 goal figure for the Premier League.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Okay, so if we move on to what I believe will be the Brentford lineup. So let me just go full screen with that and get rid of that banner once more. So I believe they're going to go with a 3-4-3 formation. They're going to have Raya in goal. I've got to say, what I've seen of this goalkeeper, he's a really good stopper.
So
he went to Blackburn when he was about 16 or something. I was doing some reading up on him, and it was like, he went to Blackburn on a scholarship apparently when he was in his teens, and he's been in England ever since. Back three from left to right, I've gone Jorgensen, Janssen, who's the captain, and Aya, who was the former Celtic player. Midfield four, Rico Henry on the left, Sergi Canos on. Oh yeah, massively. Sergi Canos on the right, another cracking player. Janelt and Norgard in the central midfield positions. Now, Janelt's name I've heard a few people saying in dispatches that he's a player to keep a very close eye on. He's a decent operator. Then up front, you've got a attacking trio of Visser, Tony, and Mbermo. I'll start with you, Bill. Again, your thoughts on that lineup? Do you think that's largely what we're going to face?
Yeah, that's about right. And the thing about you've gone through all those players, there's hardly anyone over the age of 30. I think Jansen's probably the oldest, the captain. And the thing is, they've got this lack of scar tissue. They've never had bad defeats against them. They've played together for a few seasons now, and the players they have brought in, like Ajer, the defender, I think he's the club record signing. He's done really well, and they're a threat all over the pitch. I think the midfield too. You mentioned that Janelt and Norgard have done very well, and everyone's worried about Ivan Toney, and they thought he'd make the step up, and he's certainly done that. But in Bremo as well, they've performed a really good partnership, them two up front. So and Henry, he was linked with West Ham previously, and he's done well as well as Ray, the goalkeeper. So they're very settled in their way of play. Full of energy, full of legs, and they'll run until the very end. So it's not going to be a walkover. We're going to have to play out of our skin to get a result tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. James, same to you. That front three looks like it's going to be an absolute handful for our back line, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Not just Ivan Toney, it's Brian Mbueno, who people don't talk about enough, because he's like the assisting striker. He works very well with Toney. And that's the thing with this team, is that they work well off of each other. I'll talk about it as a full. David Raya, we've talked about as a solid goalkeeper. That back line, Pontus Jansson, someone I would have wanted West Ham to go for when he was playing for Leeds years ago, because he's a very solid leader of a defender. Ayer's a tough tackler. That midfield, you've got Janelt, who scored against Brentford. You've got Norgard, who's solid. And Norgard's commented that Said Benrahma is the best player he's ever played with as well.
Wow.
Sergi Canos is a very flexible winger. Everyone in that team just oozes talent. Everyone on that team oozes hard work, and that's what makes Brentford tough to break down. It's not that you don't know what to expect from them, is you don't know how they're going to do it, and that when they do it, they penetrate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Duke, your assessment on that 11? Should that be the 11 we face? Do you think that there's anyone that you think that I haven't mentioned there that might be coming in?
Honestly, frontline scares the crap out of me. Suchek or Rice are going to have their work cut out, really working alongside that back line tomorrow. They really will, because the two wide players, as the guys mentioned earlier, they will all interchange. They will all then. Tony will give the two centre backs an absolute battering tomorrow. Yeah. He will. They're going to have to be on their best to beat this guy in the air. Anything that's coming in, and then Obama or Zuma, and then you've got Rice, Suchek, and whoever plays left and right back. They're going to be mopping up, because he's going to win stuff in the air. Tony will win stuff in the air tomorrow. I'm not saying they're going to go direct. I mean, they went direct in the latter stages of the game against Liverpool last week, obviously. And Van Dijk and Matip had an absolute mare at points against Tony. You've got Van Dijk, one of the best centre-backs, considered one of the best centre-backs in the game at the minute. And at points he was given a run around by Tony up top. The ball was in the air into him. He was bullying it. He was bullying Van Dijk in the air. So trust me when I say that Zuma's not going to have it easy. But I'd like to think that Zuma is also a bully when it comes to winning balls in the air. So that'll be a very, very good battle to watch tomorrow. Yeah. And then obviously, if Tony does win these headers in the first balls, then you've got Viscera and Buemo coming in, and that's where I think Suchek and Rice are going to have to be, if that's who it starts with, even Krau, they're going to have to be on their game, because they're going to have to be the ones that help mop up tomorrow from them balls that are going to be dropping after whoever wins that. So we get that front line scares the living daylights out of me. They've got goals in them, Brentford. We've seen that so far. We've got goals in them. So our back line is going to have to be switched on tomorrow, regardless of who plays. regardless of whether we see Johnson back in at right back, because whether or not Stufau is going to be he's going to be fit enough to start at least tomorrow. So we're going to have to, we're going to have to be ready as a back line. The ball's out from the back into Antonio's feet. He's going to have to hold the ball up, because the last thing we're going to want is that ball keep coming back in, because we will concede if we are under that kind of bombardment. So, Antonio's going to have to work really hard up top. And at points, I think he will be working on his own, because he won't have the other boys in and around him, because they're going to have to drop a little bit deeper, because you see Rice and Suchek drop in deeper. You'll see those midfield three drop even deeper, which means he's going to find himself isolated at times.
Just this point here, Duke, just to keep it with you there. Kent's just put this comment in about Canos and Henry will be so high as the wing backs, essentially, that we may well have to play like the away team tomorrow and hit them on the break. So, I mean, do you see that that's how it's going to play out?
Listen, I think it was Colton Cole mentioned it a couple of weeks ago when he said that West Ham can dominate a game despite having less possession. Because you can have the ball there. You can't do damage with it on the halfway line. And we sit and defend so well that we break up the lines. Those lines of attack and we defend it so well that whatever they play through has got to be inch perfect. It has to be on the money. And we can sit and go, keep the ball, we don't care. And Gacy, last season, you brought my attention to that, because it was like, how can we only have 38% possession and expect to win a game? We're making a living out of that now.
Yeah.
And we will quite happily let Brentford have all of the ball if necessary. And then the players like Bowen, Benrahma, if Vlasic comes off the bench, Lanzini, etc. Rice will find that pass out. He doesn't like the pass forward, apparently, if he speaks to other football fans. He doesn't like to pass the ball forward. It's only sideways and backwards. But he will find that pass, and he will put Bowen in behind. He will put Antonio in behind. And bearing in mind that, they're going to play with the two wide players that are going to be pushing forward. That's going to leave the back three with Antonio, Bowen, and Rama for now in that kind of, if we can get in behind, they can have the ball they want. We will hit them on the break and we will score goals, because let's be honest, what we're making a career out of right now. That's what West Ham are doing, against the bigger clubs, against the smaller clubs, against the clubs in the middle of the table. That's what we're doing. Keep the ball, you do you, we're going to come at you afterwards, and it works for us. So, yeah, even if we play like the away team tomorrow, I don't care. It's something that's working for us.
Bill, same to you. Do you think that we're going to be playing like the away team? Do you see Brentford having the lion's share of possession?
I think it'd be a mixture. I think Brentford have shown they're comfortable playing different styles. They're comfortable keeping the ball and they're comfortable breaking with the pace they've got up front. So I think it'd be a mixture. I think it'd be an end-to-end game, and I expect there to be plenty of goals. And as Duke said, it really doesn't matter about how we get the result, as long as we get over the line. Then we've got to show a huge amount of respect to Brentford, because if we expect to turn up and just blow them away, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
they're not a typical. It's not like Norwich, who are a typical promoted team. Brentford, they're as things stand, obviously in the top half, they've only lost one game, and that was to Brighton, who are also doing brilliantly this season. That was in the last minute. So if also got that brilliant draw against the Liverpool last week, beat Arsenal on the opening day. So we've got to treat them with the utmost respect and be clinical with the chances that we get. But I think Brentford will mix it up, and that's probably been one of their key reasons why they've succeeded so far. They mix it up. They're not too predictable.
And same question to you, James. Your thoughts on Kent's point there that he's making? James, is he frozen?
I think he's frozen.
I think he's frozen. I think Canada Net has crashed.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to think he's just being rude and ignoring you whilst on his phone. I do think he's.
Yeah, this is what happens when you live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Stuff like this happens. So there you go. He's gone. There you go. One of those things.
Can I just quickly make one comment?
Yeah, of course you can. It's your channel.
I'm pissed off, Casey. Just quickly coming away from our game tomorrow. Frankie Chan scored twice and Wolves won. Scored twice. Oh, what did I say about signing him?
I know. Calm down.
I need to get a job with Rob Newman. And listen, get me at the club. I can do it. I can sort
this. You couldn't afford the pay cut. You couldn't afford the pay cut. Seriously.
To go from running my pub to working for free as a volunteer at the club, because that's what we do now. Fucking ourselves.
So, just looking here, the only players that we have doubts over. Well, Ryan Fredericks is definitely out. Vladimir Tufal is doubtful. The team news, it says that David Moyes will hope to have Vladimir Tufal available, particularly as a replacement. Ryan Fredericks is already sidelined, and Ben Johnson may be required. And as you said earlier, Bill, if he's going to be used at right back, which in my opinion is the position he should be played at, every time I've seen him play at left back, he just looks a little bit not quite the same player, right? And I'm conscious of the fact because he's a young player, confidence is such a key thing. And it just seems to me that when he plays left back, he just doesn't seem as quite as free flowing and playing his natural game as he would when he's playing at right back, like he did the other night when I thought he looked good. And I heard a few people say that they don't agree with that particular statement, but
I don't know what game. I don't know what game they were watching then.
No.
Genuinely. Obviously he's nowhere near the class of Soufal, but that's to be expected.
Yeah.
So, I thought he was absolutely fine. Yeah, I think, but I think our defence have really got to be switched on because, as shown in the game last week, Brentford put a lot of bodies in the box, not just Tony on his own. They have, his strike partners, and usually we've got Canos and Henry as well. They get forward, so they. As particularly towards the back post, they had a lot of options there. So, everyone's got to be switched on because we kept Rapid Vienna at arm's length and we didn't get out of second gear. And it's going to be a totally different test tomorrow. So we've got to be switched on because they do look for it. But equally, we've got to make sure we create the chances because, as we mentioned, haven't conceded on. Kept 3 clean sheets, is it? So they're going to be tough to break down. But we've got to. I think with the players we've got, we should create chances tomorrow. Yeah.
I mean, the only other bits of team news here, it just says that should Tufal prove his fitness, West Ham may be unchanged from the team that beat Leeds 2-1, and that Antonio has come through an injury scare on Thursday. I've got to be honest, when he sort of, he was holding, and I was like, oh no, please, But, it looks like he should be okay to lead the line tomorrow against Brentford. We've just got a little prediction here. This is not me. This is Bet365. And it just goes on to say that we'll be full of confidence after a great start to the season, start the weekend, top half of the table in the Premier League and still in the cup competitions. And we've eliminated Manchester United from the League Cup and have 2 wins from 2 in the Europa League. It doesn't get much better than that, does it, chaps?
Oh, yeah, but who'd have thought that a sentence like that would have been written a couple of seasons ago? None of us. So it's brilliant to see and obviously read about as well.
Yeah, no, listen, like Bill just said there, you wouldn't have expected it a couple of years ago, a couple of games before we ended up, I think we got the draw against Villa, which obviously kept Villa up. A couple of games before that, it was looking like we were still struggling. We go through last season, and last season was our miracle season, and it really was. There's the ice hockey team. The miracle. Was it the gold medal side? The one. That was us last season. We've literally Phoenix from the ashes. We've come up. And last season was amazing, and that there from Kent is bang on.
But I don't think that Moyes would allow that.
No, I don't think he will. But we need to do us, and he won't allow complacency. But it only takes one player to switch off on the pitch at a vital moment, and it can derail what's going on in that game. You know, we can be on top, and all of a sudden one player switches off tomorrow, and Brentford go 1-0 up, and we're going to struggle to get back into a game that we were dominating beforehand, because now they've got something to defend. And it is right. Complacency is our biggest enemy. That's what we need to. But again, like you say, Rob, Moyes won't let that set in and that rot to start. But we have to be switched on tomorrow. There's no messing around, no dicking around tomorrow. We have to be switched on from start to finish.
We ready for a bumper crop of nuggets?
Bring them on.
As always, yeah.
Nuggets. Here we go. This is the first league meeting between our respective sides since April 1993, with the Hammers winning 4-0 at Upton Park in a campaign that saw West Ham promoted and the Bees relegated from the second tier. Anybody that's watching that's a Brentford fan, I apologise for that last sentence, but I didn't write this. You know, I'm just a facilitator. You know, don't blame me. But
just the messenger.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just a conduit. This is the first ever top flight meeting between our respective sides, with each of the previous 20 league games between us taking place in the second tier. Brentford's last win against us was in the 1953-54 season, though they've only since met in the 1992-93 season. So you can't really sort of like say that we've got a great history against them, because it's like, well, to be honest, we've not really got a history against them in the last 50, 60 years.
Exactly. It shows how far Brentford have come.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the fact that, you know what, as we've said before, guys, none of this means anything in the grand scheme of it.
Nah.
Because what happens tomorrow is a completely separate entity of what now happens. You know, we make this now, so we've got to get going. We win tomorrow, as Happy said there. We're right back up that table again. I think we can. I think my memory says we can.
I think we can go fourth, can't we? Something like that.
I think fourth. I thought we might have been third, but fourth is still, still great. I'll be. Listen, I'm be buzzing going fourth. If you said to me a couple of years ago, as I've said there, the sentence written that we've won, not Man U out, we've won 2 games out of 2, and the fact that we could end up sitting fourth tomorrow, it's ridiculous. But it gives me so much happiness that we've gone through some bad times, yet here we are being able to be grateful, if you will, because we've gone through that shit, that here we are being grateful of what's in front of us, and we're not taking it for granted. As was mentioned earlier, we're certainly not entitled as fans. And I don't see that as West Ham fans as being entitled. Yes, we consider ourselves to be a big club. Yes, I do believe we are a big club. But we don't sit there and say, you look at the Man U fans that were having a whine and a whinge earlier about the fact that they played Wednesday and they've got our half 12 kickoff today. Tough shit, get on with it. That's entitlement from the Man U fans, that they feel they should get special preferential treatment. You know, I listen, it wouldn't bother me if they turned around and said to us, right, because of the way the fixtures are, you've got to kick off at 5:30 on Saturday. Oh, but we only travelled home from shut up, get on with it. That's what's expected of you. You're not going to hear that from West Ham fans.
That's the price of success.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Mr. Glander. Welcome. He meant
yes,
to do.
It was a pleasure talking to you, Ian, earlier, I have to say. I'm glad you enjoyed your meal, and thank you very much. It means a lot.
Yeah, thanks for joining in the chat, Ian. It's much appreciated, really is. Next little nugget, gentlemen.
Let's do it.
We have lost our last 4 games when facing an opponent in the top flight for the first time. Going down against Bournemouth in 2015-16. I was there for that one. Hull in 2008-09. Reading in 06-07. And Wigan in 05-06. That doesn't make good reading.
No, I was there at the last 2.
Yeah.
Reading and Wigan.
Yeah, I was probably, I'm sure I would have been at the Wigan game. I would have been at the Reading game. I think I gave my season ticket up by the time that the whole game rocked around. I'm fairly sure.
Yeah.
Because I had a little bit of a break, sort of like between. I've had season ticket twice, so
Yeah, same.
But-
yeah.
yeah. Listen, again, I didn't write this, but again, this is just a historical fact. But going forwards, it doesn't mean anything. It's if you believe in superstition, then fine, help yourself.
Yeah, I'd probably say that Brentford is certainly as good as Bournemouth's team.
Mm.
So and actually Wigan had a really good season along with us that season as well. They got to the Carling Cup final at the time that season. So, but it shows that on their day anyone can beat anyone in the Premier League in particular. So, we've mentioned it to death, but we have to keep saying it that we got to stay switched on and play as close as we can to our best, because they won't make it easy for us at all.
No, absolutely. They're not going to come here to just hand us 3 points, that's for sure.
No, definitely not.
Next one. Brentford have lost just one of their last 9 league London derbies, winning 5, drawing 3, going down 2-1 at QPR in February. The Bees are the only side yet to lose a Premier League London derby by virtue of the fact that they've played 2 of them in the competition so far. They've won 1 and drawn 1. But they're undefeated. I suppose you can't really argue with that one, can you?
Yeah, well, as mentioned, they've only lost 1 game this season. That was in the last minute against Brighton, who are absolutely flying. So, tough opposition to crack.
Yeah, absolutely. You, what do you think about that one, Duke? Should we be concerned?
No. Listen,
Move on.
You can't judge on these because we've not played them with any kind of consistency to have a kind of rivalry with them. So it really makes no difference. Tomorrow's the only result I really care about. You know what I mean? So it's we need to make sure that tomorrow, switched on, 3 points, we worry and then we move on.
Okay, Duke, I think you're needed, are you?
I am. I'm being called. They're moaning about their breaks downstairs because I've come up to record this video with you lovely people.
Well,
so they're moaning that they need their breaks.
Me and Bill can
busy.
finish, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'm going to bounce. Bill, great to meet you. Thank you for coming on again, buddy.
No worries. Thanks, buddy.
Hope to collaborate with you some more going forward. And Casey, I will speak to you a bit later on tonight.
Cheers, Duke.
Awesome. Cheers, mate.
Everyone in the chat, thank you, and I'll speak to you soon.
This is like a band breaking up, isn't it? We started as a foursome,
just a
then we were 3. Now we're a 2-piece. What's going on? Next little nugget, Bill.
Yeah, let's do it, mate.
On we go. So only Manchester City with 34 and Tottenham with 28 have earned more points at home Premier League games in 2021 so far than West Ham with 26. But we did lose our last home league match against Manchester United, but we have only lost back-to-back games at the London Stadium once since David Moyes' return in January 2020. Now that's a little bit more of a relevant stat to me. That's a little bit more recent rather than our last game in the top flight against Brentford or this, that, and the other. It's back in the sort of 1600s. This is more relevant. This is the thing that I've been saying to people. David Moyes has absolutely changed the mentality within the club. We're a club that. Let's be brutally honest. I mean, I've been supporting West Ham since I'm old enough to remember, which is like quite a while ago. And pretty much most of that, if I'm being honest, we've been crap. I'm not being funny. We have, we've had little sort of false dawns and all the rest of it. Little moments, little glimmers of hope where you think, like the last season at the Boleyn, and you think, we can kick on from here. And then the following season, we nearly get relegated and stuff like that. That's generally the way that a West Ham fans, life goes. But it has to be said that basically since coming back from the lockdown, the last 9 games of not last season, but the season before that, the whole of last season, the beginning 6 games of this in the league, plus obviously the European campaign and the first game in the League Cup. This is not a fluke anymore. He has changed the mentality of the dressing room.
spot on, mate. Wouldn't disagree with anything you've said just then. And it's obviously first few seasons took our time settling into the stadium, but now the players are used to it now. And yes, the stadium has got its faults, we know that, but the fans have got used to it now. And I think from the games we've been to this season, this nonsense that was talked about last season, all how West Ham cope with the fans back, load of absolute biggest load of rubbish I've ever heard or read.
I took a great deal of offence to that. I don't know about you, and I was sort of at pains to say to people, we need to turn up, we need to go to that stadium, and we need to prove all of those doubters, all of the naysayers wrong. We need to say, because otherwise, if we was to sort of go there and the negativity creeps in and this, that, and the other, and we start losing games, we've just proved everybody right. I prefer to prove people wrong. I don't know about you, but
that's spot on. And the thing, we've got a team that are working hard and running to the last minute of every match. They're playing for the badge. They're playing for us fans. And let's go back to Upland Park days and when the club was formed. That's all we care about. So. And we've got that. We didn't really have that first few seasons, did we? We had a little bit under Pellegrini in his first season, but apart from that, it's been as you say, mate, full storms. So that was just a talk sport and a load of silly agendas from people who don't deserve to be in employment by them. So so obviously that's proven with that stat about the stadium. So that's brilliant. Obviously, every team wants their home stadium to be a fortress, and it's turned that way for us, which is brilliant.
Absolutely. Next little nugget: Brentford are unbeaten away from home in the Premier League so far, winning 1 and drawing 2. Only 4 teams have ever remained unbeaten in their first 4 on the road in the competition, with Blackburn, Coventry and Ipswich doing so in 92-93 and Hull City in 2008-09 the others. Again, not a terribly relevant stat, but there it is. If you can take out of it as you see fit. Both West Ham and Brentford have made just 3 changes to their starting 11s in the Premier League this season, fewer than any other side so far. Now that is a mark of a consistent team, I would argue.
And lack of injuries as well and suspensions. So all adds up, and especially with Brentford, they're playing under a really good system, and everyone knows what their roles are. And they're not trying to play a style that doesn't suit them. And hence why they're getting the results. And I'm sure even if they do make changes later on in the season, I wouldn't expect much change. Like when Liverpool make changes, they know how to play on the Klopp system, Guardiola as well. And even with West Ham, when that Vlasic has settled in fairly well, and you know what you're going to get from him, and he settles into our style of play. And Brentford buy players, as the chaps mentioned, with the Moneyball system and the way they run their club. They don't just buy anyone; they buy people that suit the way they want to play football. So so it's good. Yeah, good for both sides. They haven't had any. Or we haven't had any injuries or anything like that. But even if later in the season, I think you'll see a consistent level performance still.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, Brentford have had 7 different players score for them in the Premier League so far this season, excluding own goals. Only Chelsea with 10 and Manchester City with 9 have had more players find the net for them than the Bees. So this kind of tells us, again, this is recent data. This is not from like the 1920s. This is telling us that, this is a form team as far as putting the ball in the old onion bag is concerned. So we're going to need to bring our A game defensively.
Oh, without a doubt, it shows they're not a one-man team. I know Ivan Toney gets a load of headlines, and rightly so, but I say just scored 2 goals. He's scored 2 from 6. It was 1 in 3. That's decent, but it shows they get goals all over the pitch. So, we've got to be aware of everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So beware. West Ham forward Michail Antonio has been involved in more goals than any other player in the Premier League so far this season, with 8. He's scored 5 and assisted 3 in 5 appearances so far. These 8 goal involvements have been worth 7 points to the Hammers so far, more than any other player across the league. Why, oh why, Gareth Southgate, did you not give him an international cap? Now he's having a traipse. Good luck to him. Don't get me wrong. I wish him well, but he could have played for England. And to be honest, you look at England now, Bill. I know sort of like we're talking England, not West Ham, but it's like he could have been playing for England rather than, jetting across to the other side of Atlantic, playing on substandard pitches and testing himself and wearing himself out. He could have been sort of like a little bit more on easy street as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, and from an England point of view, he's different than the other forwards we've got. All the others very technically proficient, very, very good, likes of, obviously Greenwood and Rashford and all that. But, you've got Calvert-Lewin, but he's injured. So I think, I think Antonio easily could have, I know he got called up a few seasons ago, but easily I think he could have, compared to some of the other, especially some of the really poor strikers like Jay Bothroyd got an England cap. You think... I think Antonio. I think Antonio is way better than him. So I think he should have been at some point. But his loss is Jamaica's gain.
Yeah, well, good luck to Jamaica. That's all I'll say. Moving on. So coming into this weekend's game, Saeed Benrahma has created 7 chances for Michail Antonio at West Ham this season, more than any player has created for another in the competition this term. They really do have a bit of a telepathic understanding that's developing, don't you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely brilliant. And it's great to see Benrahma really show the form that you showed at Brentford. He showed glimpses last season, but we all hoped it'd be a sort of, this season was going to be his, this season. And he's proven that so far. He's been obviously scored the second goal the other night, and he's been, the confidence that it's chalk and cheese from this season to last season. I think
Definitely.
last season he probably tried too hard, if anything, which I don't think is actually a bad thing. Shows he still wants to play for us and that. But I think he's just been more measured in what he wants to do, and he's showed that real composure and ability on the ball. So and he's obviously his finishing is improving as well. So hopefully that stat continues for the rest of the season. We'll be in for a few goals if that's the case.
Yeah, confidence is such a key thing.
Without doubt,
I think that's testament to that. His confidence is through the roof at the minute, and you can see that that's paying dividends. Getting into the betting markets now, Bet365, other betting, houses are available, and as I say. If Bet365, if anyone from Bet365 is watching this and you want to give Falls from Iron a little bit of cash to sort of keep promoting you, we'll consider it. Our phone lines are always on. They've got the full-time result. West Ham are 5-4 on favourites. Brentford 7-2, and the draw at 13-5. So it's as far as the bookmakers are concerned, we're odds on, but Brentford are not to be taken lightly. I think it has to be said.
Yeah, I think that's bang on. And I think even the draw, that's good value as well, because I think there'll be a few goals from both sides. So it shows that West Ham are slight favourites, and I think that's about right. We're at home, and we've been in good form domestically and in Europe as well. But Brentford have had a good start to the season, so they're not outsiders by any stretch.
Yeah, and if you want a cheeky little flutter on goal scorers, well, Ivan Toney, first goal scorer at odds 9-2, last goal scorer at odds 9-2. Anytime is 11-8. Michail Antonio, pretty much the same, 9-2, 9-2, 11-8. Andrei Yarmolenko's on the list. I was quite surprised when I saw that. 6-1. He's actually a stronger favourite to score the first goal than Jared Bowen is. No, I think that Bowen will start, and I don't think Yarmolenko will.
And Benrahma's if you're going to go first or last, Benrahma's 7-1. That's a brilliant shout.
I got to be honest. I looked at that and I thought, really, 7-1? That I think I might have a cheeky fiver on that.
That's an unbelievable shout.
Yeah. So there you go.
Better than Yarmolenko at 6-1. I'll say that.
I couldn't believe that they got him as 6-1. I was just like, seriously. And if you want to sort of bet on half time, full time, there are your odds, ladies and gentlemen. I got to be honest with you, Bill. I'm looking at Brentford to lead at half time, West Ham to win it. Turn it around, 22-1.
Mate, honestly, telepathic, mate. Yeah, I thought the same as well. Yeah,
yeah.
I would be surprised.
That's got to be worth a fiver, sort of like we're maybe 2-1 down at half time, like we were up at St James's, and we turn it around and win 3-2, something like that. 22-1.
Yeah. No, I think everyone, even the 365 earlier. With the score prediction, and I think I've seen it on Who Scored as well, score prediction and stuff. It's going to be high scoring, and I think that Brentford and into West Ham, I think that'd be a good price, 22-1. That's worth as I say, a five or even a tenner.
Yeah,
if you can afford it, that is.
Absolutely. Right. Okay, that's all my little slides done with, and Steve's just popped in off of his sick bed. Hope you're feeling a bit better, mate. So, Bill, before we wrap it up. Score prediction.
Do you know what, mate? I'm going to go with what was predicted earlier in the. I think it was a bit 3-6. So I'm going to go for 3-2 West Ham. I think there'll be plenty of goals. I think it'll be an open game. Both attacks are pretty in good form. So I expect there to be plenty of goals. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going 3-2 as well. I think there's got to be a few goals. I think that Tony's going to cause absolute bedlam in our back line, but I think that we're going to do the same to them. I think that it's going to be, he says he's just as rough. That's not good. Charlie's just popped in. We've got something that's coming out. We've downloaded it. We've recorded it earlier. We've just got to look at it, make sure if there's any things we want to edit, this, that, and the other. Charlie Bonner has very kindly done an interview with us from Bees TV. And again, if any of you guys that are watching, if you could kindly give your support to Bees TV YouTube channel, be much appreciated. I'm sure Charlie would thank you for it. He's a lovely lad. He came on, had an interview with Duke. I was directing. I was in the background pressing buttons. So I sort of kept well out of it. So you ain't got to look at my ugly mug when this one goes out. But yeah, he's a lovely lad. He knows his football. It was a really good interview. And as I say, if any of you guys could see your way clear to just giving Bees TV just a little subscribe, they'd really much appreciate it. And Steve's hawking his ticket out. So listen, Steve, this isn't StubHub, mate. Come on.
Stick in the ticket exchange.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, mind you, I might have to sort of like Falls from Iron Ticket Exchange. We can take a cut of the proceedings of that. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
So a 3-2 win for you, Bill. I'm going 3-2 as well. As I say, I think it's going to be. Do you reckon Ben Rama's scoring against his old team?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think obviously scored the other night, and he obviously knows the players now. They play, knows the manager, so he's obviously full of confidence, as we've said. So yeah, I fancy him to score at some point. Yeah, without a doubt.
Absolutely. We're going to wrap it up there, Bill. I thank you very much indeed for your time. I thank obviously James as well before his internet dropped out. Canada net, it went to pot. What can you do? But guys, those of you that are watching either live or at your own leisure, please don't forget to subscribe to both From the Anvil, West Ham United and Garage Football on YouTube. Garage Football is Bill's platform. Bill, just give it another plug, please.
Yeah, so I do plenty of football content, so similar to likes of Fogden, James Alcott, Under the Cosh, all those guys, Spencer FC, so watch-alongs, vlogs, and other content, a vlog from the game the other night, Rapid Vienna game. So if you're into football content, subscribe and check it out. Cheers.
Brilliant. Much appreciate your time, Bill. And we're going to finish with our usual sign-off. Come on, you Irons.
Thanks, guys.
And don't forget, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and make sure you hit that bell icon to be notified of any new content as and when we upload it to the channel. Thanks for coming, guys.